You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Well, thanks for joining us. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. Here's a look at our news headlines this morning. An overturned big rig causing problems for drivers in San Jose. The Highway Patrol did say at least one person was hurt, but we don't know how bad their injuries are. You can see the truck blocking all of those lanes. This also shut down the ramp from 880. They were able to get it back on its wheels around 8:30 this morning. Our chopper caught the traffic backup. This was just before 9 this morning during the commute. The Highway Patrol says all the lanes were able to open just after 9:30. Fire crews continue to fight against at least 22 fires threatening homes in the Sierra foothills. This is what's being called the TCU September Lightning Complex fires, now sitting at 15% containment. They have scorched more than 21 square miles. That's the size of the city of Richmond, burning across Stanislaus, Tuolumne, and Calaveras counties. So let's get a check on your first alert forecast for this Thursday with meteorologist Zoe Mintz.
We are almost done with a relatively warm start to the week, but temperatures are continuing to cool down. Honestly, really comfortable through the rest of the day. This is our smoke forecast, though. There is not going to be nearly as much smoke over the Bay Area compared to the Central Valley and over the Sierra, but this little bit of smoke that we do see might create a slight haze in the upper levels of the atmosphere. It's not going to impact our air quality today, which again is good news for any outdoor activities. What's also good news is the fact that our temperatures are going to be really comfortable, mid-60s directly along the coast with a little bit more cloud coverage and slightly stronger winds. Upper 60s downtown San Francisco and our inland community is not even expected to reach that 90-degree mark this afternoon. Again, comfortable, and it's only going to get cooler and cooler into tomorrow, which altogether great news. Even our North Bay communities are expected to stay in the mid to upper 70s today. So if you want to get out and about this afternoon, temperatures are likely going to be a degree or two below average for this time of year. That is so nice to see. The winds are going to be gusting anywhere from 20 to 30 miles an hour this afternoon and be relatively similar into tomorrow. And again, that's keeping in and ushering in those relatively cooler temperatures that are going to stay around for at least the next 6 to 10 days. Our long-range models are actually pointing at relatively below average temperatures for the entire state of California through, again, the middle to later parts of next week. Great news when it comes to keeping that wildfire threat at bay. There's still, again, active wildfires going on, but at least firefighting efforts are not going to be hampered by the weather. And if you live directly along the coast, expect these foggier conditions to stick around, but at least by the weekend, it is going to be a little bit warmer.
Well, we're still closely watching the fires burning in the Gold Country. Hundreds of people have been forced from their homes because of evacuations. The fires burned through nearly 14,000 acres in the Sierra Nevada. The fires were sparked by thousands of lightning strikes. Here's a look at the map, and you can see the burning near the Don Pedro Reservoir. CAL FIRE says the fire, once again, is 15% contained. CBS News' Jonathan Vigliotti reports from the gold rush town of Chinese Camp, where he talked with a man who stayed behind fighting to save his home.
Those that we have spoken with describe blowtorch conditions. You had lightning spark fire, the wind 30 miles per hour at times, creating that wall of flames. You see the damage and the destruction here in what little is left of historic downtown. This is a landmark building. It's been here for more than 100 years. It is completely gutted. We spent the day yesterday surveying the damage. A very small community, around 100 people, much of it leveled. I spoke with one family who stayed through it all. They saved their home, but watched their neighbors' homes destroyed.
If we didn't come back, no, this house would be gone.
During our interview with Lane Smith,
That's been going off all day.
that loud bang caught us off guard.
If we hadn't got
Is
here,
that a gas tank?
I have no idea what it is, but there's been stuff blowing up over there since last night.
While dozens of structures have been destroyed, Smith's 4-generation family home survived. He also jumped in to help his neighbors.
And there's a ton of brush, hauling it away, trying to get away from all this, and all this is catching on fire, and we were shoveling, all of us running and shoveling like a bunch of wild men. It's just a small town. Like, I know everybody that owns all these ranches all the way around us, and they're the ones here providing water trucks, heavy equipment, everything else.
The massive lightning-fueled fire southeast of Sacramento ravaged the historic Gold Rush-era town known as Chinese Camp, named for the immigrant miners who settled here. Hundreds of firefighters are battling the inferno caused by thousands of lightning strikes recorded across the region. CAL FIRE Battalion Chief David Acuna warns the effects of that lightning storm might not be known for days.
When they strike trees and they destroy the tree, sometimes the heat will sit inside that damaged area for quite a while. So the next week is going to be when they begin to emerge.
Your house has survived, but you're in a neighborhood, a community that has been leveled. Do you stay?
Yeah, I stay. I got the right people. I know good people live here, and we've got friends with equipment. We'll have it cleaned up before long.
And just north of that area in Calaveras County, evacuation orders and warnings are in place for the 2-7 fire. That's in the area of Vallecito off Highway 4. 600 acres have burned. It is 20% contained. CAL FIRE battling the flames with water-dropping helicopters and ground crews. Families in the dry, hilly communities tell us they are grateful for their efforts, but remain on edge.
Just a lot of stress, and just because you don't know. You just don't know if the wind's going to pick up, it's going to blow ash, which could start a fire. Even though the fire is over there, it could literally start a fire in this dry grass right here, right? And you might not notice it. And the next thing you know is everything's engulfed.
CAL FIRE tells us hand crews are critical in building containment lines, putting out hot spots, and preventing embers from being picked up by the winds. And they say they are making progress. Another fire sending people in Stanislaus and Calaveras counties on the run. The 2-2 fire burned a little over 5 square miles with zero containment near the community of Eugene. Neighboring towns are safe, or at least for now. And to stay up to date on these fires, stick with us on air on our website at kpix.com or on the free CBS News app. An attempted robbery in the East Bay ended in a violent crash. Police say as 3 suspects fled, they wrecked their vehicle in Hayward. Police say it all started when the suspects with guns and masks tried to rob a Food Max grocery store in Oakland. They were confronted by a security guard who fired shots at them, and they sped away in a car. Police say there was not a pursuit, but a helicopter watched from above as a car collided into another vehicle before plowing into a pole. The suspects were taken to a hospital with injuries ranging from minor to critical. Police say 2 of them are juveniles. The Golden State Valkyries can make history tonight. They have a chance to become the first WNBA expansion team to make the playoffs in their inaugural season. Victory tonight at Chase Center would clinch that playoff spot. Veronica Macias is at Thrive City.
The Golden State Valkyries taking on the Dallas Wings here at home tonight at Chase Center. Tip-off is at 7, and of course you can watch them with us on KPIX+. The Valkyries, they have the drive and the momentum to possibly clinch a spot in the playoffs tonight. And this isn't just so cool. The Valkyries, they're also on the brink of something historic. This would be the first time ever an expansion team makes it to the WNBA playoffs in their debut season. Golden State beat defending champion New York and held the Liberty to a season-low 58 points, with the Valks currently in the 6th league standings, with the top 8 making it to the playoffs, of course. They have a 3-game lead over the LA Sparks with just 4 games to play. Let's go ahead and listen to Valkyries coach Natalie Nakase.
We haven't clinched the playoffs yet, so until we get the X near our name, then and then after that, we got to make sure we're prepared. We're healthy. We got to make sure we're healthy bodies going into the playoffs. So there's a lot of things that still need to be taken care of.
But there is a possible plot twist in the celebration if they're able to clinch that playoff spot. It seems like there is a scheduling conflict here at Chase Center with the tennis tournament, so that playoff game may not be here at Chase, but it's yet to be determined at what venue it would happen at. But for now, everyone just excited that before the end of the week, the Valkyries could be in the playoffs.
As Veronica mentioned, you can watch tonight's game live on Pix Plus 44 Cable 12. Our pregame coverage with Matt and Byrne, that starts at 6:30. Still ahead on CBS News Bay Area, proposed taxes on the table to bail out Bay Area transit agencies, all strapped for cash, but not everyone is on board. Why leaders of one county claim they are flying blind. And the mother in the Bay Area turning to AI to help win back thousands of dollars from her health insurance provider. Why she says she never should have been charged in the first place.
My baby boy, now almost 4, received a bill for almost $2,000. The only reason they could have been doing that was so they can essentially charge me for an out-of-pocket maximum for my son.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
Happy Thursday! We are looking at much cooler and more comfortable weather throughout the rest of this week and even into the weekend, although Friday, tomorrow, is going to be the coolest day with mid to lower 80s across our inland communities and those onshore winds gusting up to 20 to 30 miles an hour. Strong winds aren't great news when it comes to wildfires, but the fact that they're coming in from that onshore direction and ushering in those relatively cooler temperatures, again, is good news. And they're going to stay relatively cool throughout the rest of the week and weekend, so enjoy it while you can.
Well, San Francisco leaders are trying to get more people to ride buses and trains in the city. And today they kicked off Transit Month in across the Bay Area. Mayor Lurie saying transit is a key to San Francisco's comeback from the pandemic.
San Franciscans use many forms of transportation: buses, trains, bikes, ferries, and cars. And every San Franciscan benefits from a robust public transit system that reduces traffic and takes people to work, to our museums, to our schools, to our small businesses that are powering our comeback.
There will be events all month to celebrate transit, including contests and anime festivals on BART and an art fair at Salesforce Transit Center. This comes as Muni has announced across-the-board budget cuts due to a fiscal cliff. In an effort to prevent cuts to public transit around the Bay Area could be heading to the 2026 ballot. A state lawmaker is proposing a regional sales tax to help bail out transit agencies that are struggling with major deficits. But as Lauren Toms tells us, it's running into some pushback in one Bay Area county.
In the Bay Area, transit isn't just about getting around. For riders like Adina Levin, it's her quality of life.
Even thinking twice about where I live because the quality of life of not having to be stuck in traffic is really high.
She doesn't own a car. Instead, she relies on Caltrain, Samtrans, BART, and Muni to get to work, to run errands, and to live. But that lifestyle may be at risk as public transit agencies across the region are facing their own fiscal cliffs after years of lower than projected revenue in a post-pandemic world. State lawmakers are considering a 2026 ballot measure that would ask voters to raise sales taxes a half-cent in Santa Clara, Alameda, Contra Costa, and San Mateo counties, and a full cent in San Francisco County to fund the transit agencies that keep the Bay Area connected. The tax would raise up to $1 billion over 14 years for Bay Area transit agencies.
Not having that measure, the alternative is really catastrophic.
In San Mateo County, Samtrans voted to support the plan. Caltrain, staring at a $75 million budget deficit, warns that without it, cuts and closures are likely. Board of Supervisors President David Canepa says the stakes are too high for the measure to stall.
If we do nothing, make no mistake about it, transit fails in the Bay Area.
But not everyone is ready to sign on. Assemblymember Diane Pappin supports public transit, but says San Mateo County shouldn't pay an annual $35 million in protected tax revenue without a voice on an oversight board.
Yet we have no voting representation on BART, no voting representation on Muni, no service agreements, no oversight authority whatsoever. So it's kind of like the bill's current form is sort of like you pay the bill at a restaurant where you can't see the menu, you can't order the food, and you can't send it back if it's wrong.
She's pushing an amendment that would require all 5 taxed counties to have a seat at the table. Supervisor Jackie Spear also argues the bill as written isn't in the county's best interests.
We've never had to pay into BART before because we're not a BART county. So it's taxation without representation. And if you're one of those that takes it maybe 4 or 5 times a year, you're going to be paying $150 in effect for that ride because that's how much you're going to be paying in taxes.
Some local groups are also hesitant. Voices for Public Transportation argues the money should come from corporate taxes, not the voters. But for riders like Adina, failure isn't an option.
There is no good plan B. To do a measure for our county alone, the business and labor and other funders are not going to fund a single San Mateo County measure and then a measure for all the other counties. We need to all go together to have something that will pass.
The bill SB 63 was proposed by State Senator Scott Wiener, is currently making its way through the state legislature. He previously proposed other ideas to bail out transit that faced pushback, including a new bridge toll that was seen as too costly for drivers. A tense hearing on Capitol Hill today. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. faced lawmakers amid growing concerns over changes he has made to the CDC. RFK defended the changes, including the firing of CDC Director Susan Martinez and resignations of several high-profile agency officials.
We are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at CDC.
On behalf of parents and schools and teachers all over the United States of America who deserve so much better than your leadership. That's what this conversation is about, Mr. Chairman.
Senator, they deserve the truth, and that's what we're going to give them for the first time.
The Trump administration has defended Kennedy even as public health experts sound the alarm over new guidelines restricting eligibility for COVID vaccines. Earlier this week, more than 1,000 current and former HHS staffers signed a letter calling for Secretary Kennedy to step down. A new CBS News poll finds a majority of Americans disapprove of the job RFK Jr. is doing as health secretary. About 4 in 10 believe his policies are making vaccines less available, and most of the people highly disapprove. As for specific vaccines, 77% say the COVID shots should be available to people who want them, whether or not they would get one themselves. Here's the head of CBS News polling, Anthony Salvanto, with more on what people said on the availability of vaccines.
In the latest CBS News poll, a large majority of Americans tell us that when it comes to vaccine policy, they think that government agencies ought to make vaccines more available. And it is a majority of Democrats, independents, and Republicans. Yes, Republicans a little relatively less so, but majority still saying that the government ought to encourage parents to vaccinate.
Democrats are much more trusting of the FDA and the CDC than Republicans, and Americans overwhelmingly trust their own doctor or medical professionals. Washington, D.C. is suing the Trump administration to stop the deployment of National Guard troops in the city. The city's attorney said that deployment is essentially an involuntary military occupation. The lawsuit comes after a San Francisco judge ruled Trump's use of the National Guard in L.A. was illegal. The Trump administration says they're appealing the decision and that they have plans to deploy troops to Chicago and Baltimore. Silicon Valley is making an appearance at the White House today. President Trump hosting a Rose Garden dinner for a number of tech CEOs. Expected guests include Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, Apple CEO Tim Cook, and Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates. First Lady Melania Trump is also hosting an event focused on artificial intelligence. Here at home, an AI tool helped a woman in Concord save thousands of dollars on healthcare costs. She says her insurance company repeatedly denied her claims. Suji Nam shows us how the tool helped her get the upper hand.
My baby boy, now almost 4, received a bill for almost $2,000, adjusted down from $9,000.
Lauren Gonzalez has been fighting this battle for nearly 2 years.
Oh, yeah. Anthem denied your claim.
She gave birth to her son in 2021.
On day 2 of our hospital stay, we paid, $2,300, in around that ballpark.
But 2 years after her son was born, Gonzalez says Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield denied her claim and billed her for nursery charges.
This final notice, immediate action required.
She said Anthem even changed the bill to her son's name.
The only reason they could have been doing that was so they can essentially charge me for an out-of-pocket maximum for my son.
Confused as to why Anthem denied her insurance, she filed several appeal letters, but with no success. Gonzalez turned to AI.
AI said, well, now there's a timeliness issue and Anthem may have violated its own policy.
Hey, I'm Maxwell. What can I help you with today?
Enter Counterforce Health, a company that uses artificial intelligence to help patients appeal a denial.
Instead of you doing 8 hours of research, compiling all this stuff, going through all these documents, our AI system can do this in less than 2 minutes.
Neil Shaw, CEO of Counterforce Health, says 99% of denied insurance claims are never appealed, forcing people to pay out of pocket. He says, however, of the 1% that do appeal, about 50% of people win at baseline. That is hope enough to keep the fight.
The denial rates have skyrocketed because there isn't even oftentimes a human reviewing it. It's just an AI system in 1 second denies you. So now it's like, okay, well, we'll build AI and empower people to fight back in a second.
Using the information the AI agent gave her, Gonzalez says she learned different policies to fight her claim and appeal once more.
I'm a social worker. I was going to advocate for myself. I was absolutely not going to give Anthem money that I did not owe them.
And in early August, Anthem dropped all of the charges.
Insurance companies are supposed to support us and help us make sure we get health care, but instead they're going after us and they're essentially trying to wear people down to earn money off of people's exhaustion.
She is moving forward from her fight. She knows so many others are battling their denials and hopes that more people can use helpful tools like these to fight back.
We did reach out to Anthem multiple times, but have not heard back. Well, the Powerball jackpot is now up to $1.7 billion. That's after no one won last night's drawing again. The current jackpot is the third largest in U.S. history. By the way, the top two jackpots were both won here in California. Next drawing is this Saturday. Lump sum value is about $770 million. The odds of winning 1 in 292 million, so there is a chance. Meantime, the Niners just revealed new team-themed scratchers from the California Lottery. Fans could win cash as well as game tickets and autographed merchandise. Still ahead, small community in the East Bay gearing up for a fight after learning their neighborhood may be changing.
You get a high-rise building that's imposing on, the feel and the view. That's a big deal.
But it turns out they may be getting just a little ahead of themselves. As the state ramps up the pressure on cities to build more high-density housing, some suburban communities feel like they're under attack. That's exactly what is happening in the neighborhood of Poets Corner. This is in Pleasant Hill. It's a neighborhood filled with small-town charm and single-family homes. As John Ramos shows us, they are now sounding the alarm over a development that, well, isn't even there.
The concern is over this piece of property in Pleasant Hill. It backs up to a highly popular neighborhood, and while the threat may not be exactly what the homeowners think, it does show how nervous people are getting about the state's housing policies. This vacant lot is about to undergo a change, at least on paper. The city of Pleasant Hill will be designating it as medium-density multifamily to allow the same kind of housing that already exists right across the street.
So that's the zone change that the city is proposing. What I think is misunderstood is that the current general plan, there was an underlying general plan designation that is already multifamily medium. And so really the city is only clarifying that that is the matching zoning. So it's not technically changing the type of development that could be done there, but it is renaming it, if that makes any sense.
But that doesn't make sense to the neighborhood on the other side of the property. An alert has gone out on social media to Save Poets Corner, warning that the city wants to tear down our homes. Homeowners here are very protective of their neighborhood, and real estate broker Pete Sabine knows why.
Poets Corner is probably the most desirable neighborhood in Pleasant Hill. It does change the fabric of the community when you do high-density zoning in a low-density area.
The homes here are not giant mansions.
A lot of them are just very understated homes, such as this one.
But they are well kept, and the narrow tree-lined streets, each named for a famous poet, give the neighborhood a romantic, intimate feeling. It's brought the neighborhood together, and it has become mildly famous as a Halloween trick-or-treating spot. People love living here, so any hint that towering condo buildings may be coming makes people feel a little jumpy.
It feels like you're getting encroached upon. I mean, I think we bought here feeling, this is all a single family type home area, and you want to kind of keep it that way. You get a high-rise building that's imposing on, the feel and the view. That's a big deal.
But the truth is, there is no plan to build anything here, at least for now. The vacant lot was put on the city's housing element list, as required by law, only as a potential site for new multifamily homes. There are no proposals to do that, but that doesn't keep people from worrying about it. especially when the state is willingly giving developers more and more power to force projects, whether cities want them or not. Would Pleasant Hill really have any choice in this?
Probably not. Probably not. That's the sad truth. And it's too bad, because I think there's a better way to get high density, create more housing and hopefully affordable housing without coming in and impacting these low density neighborhoods.
The fact that there is currently no plan to do that doesn't put people's minds at ease. In Poets Corner, they know that tomorrow that could change, and their neighborhood could be at the mercy of people who say, yes, in my backyard, when they're actually talking about someone else's yard.
Well, the next community meeting happening Tuesday, September 9th, where neighbors planning on speaking out about that proposal. Well, the fashion world is remembering legendary Italian designer Giorgio Armani. He revolutionized fashion over 5 decades and built a multi-billion-dollar brand. He was born in a small Italian village in 1934 and thought of becoming a doctor before the world of fashion captured his imagination. In 1975, he founded his own design house and soon reinvented the suit by removing inner linings. He shaped a new silhouette, a power suit that became a uniform in the 80s.
I have a closet full still of those beautiful suits, those classic suits, and I still wear them.
In June, for the first time in the history of the fashion house, Armani missed his fashion shows as he battled an undisclosed illness. Giorgio Armani was 91 years old. Coming up our next half hour on CBS News Bay Area, thieves stealing thousands of dollars worth of gear from the Mexican national soccer team. We're going to hear from fans staying positive on the team's less than ideal welcome to Oakland.
I wasn't really surprised, to be honest. It is Oakland after all, but luckily no one got hurt. It was just the equipment.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Well, thanks for staying with us. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. Here's another look at our news headlines. An overturned big rig causing problems for drivers in San Jose. The Highway Patrol did say at least one person was hurt, but we don't know how bad those injuries are. Truck blocking all those lanes earlier. You can see that right there. This also shut down the ramp from 880. They were able to get it back on its wheels around 8:30 this morning. This area of 101 was shut down, but it has since reopened. Fire crews continue to fight at least 22 fires threatening homes in the Sierra foothills. What is now being called the TCU September Lightning Complex fires now sits at 15% containment. They have scorched more than 21 square miles. That's the size of the city of Richmond. The fires were sparked by thousands of lightning strikes. They are burning across Stanislaus, Tuolumne, and Calaveras County. The Valkyries are one game away from clinching a playoff spot. They face off against the Dallas Wings tonight at Chase Center. Golden State having a chance to become the first WNBA expansion team to make the playoffs in their inaugural season. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. with live coverage starting at 6:30 on Pix Plus. Okay, so let's get another check of our first alert forecast with meteorologist Zoe Mintz.
We are almost done with a relatively warm start to the week, but temperatures are continuing to cool down. Honestly, really comfortable through the rest of the day. This is our smoke forecast, though. There is not going to be nearly as much smoke over the Bay Area compared to the Central Valley and over the Sierra, but this little bit of smoke that we do see might create a slight haze in the upper levels of the atmosphere. It's not going to impact our air quality today, which again is good news for any outdoor activities. What's also good news is the fact that our temperatures are going to be really comfortable, mid-60s directly along the coast with a little bit more cloud coverage and slightly stronger winds. Upper 60s downtown San Francisco, and our inland communities not even expected to reach that 90-degree mark this afternoon. Again, comfortable, and it's only going to get cooler and cooler into tomorrow, which altogether great news. Even our North Bay communities are expected to stay in the mid to upper 70s today. So if you want to get out and about this afternoon, temperatures are likely going to be a degree or two below average for this time of year. That is so nice to see. The winds are going to be gusting anywhere from 20 to 30 miles an hour this afternoon and be relatively similar into tomorrow. And again, that's keeping in and ushering in those relatively cooler temperatures that are going to stay around for at least the next 6 to 10 days. Our long-range models are actually pointing at relatively below average temperatures for the entire state of California through again the middle to later parts of next week. Great news when it comes to keeping that wildfire threat at bay. There's still again active wildfires going on, but at least firefighting efforts are not going to be hampered by the weather. And if you live directly along the coast, expect these foggier conditions to stick around, but at least by the weekend it is going to be a little bit warmer.
The Mexican national men's soccer team is in the Bay Area for a friendly match against Japan. They're playing Saturday at the Oakland Coliseum. They've already been training here for a few days, but their Bay Area visit started out with a little trouble. Someone broke into the team's truck on Monday morning, stole thousands of dollars worth of equipment. Amanda Harry spoke with fans who say they are still excited for the matchup despite the problems off the pitch.
Dozens of Mexican national team fans crowded outside of the Oakland Marriott City Center to catch a glimpse of the soccer superstars, including Brian Rodriguez.
Dude, I'm so happy. I got all I needed.
Rodriguez waited outside for hours in the sun. He says that's no time compared to how long he's been a fan of the team.
Since I was born.
And it paid off. The team arrived at the hotel after practice and signed autographs and took photos.
It's like my first time ever seeing the players up front, so it's just a special moment. I just really want to get the whole team to sign. So currently I have like half the team signed right here. I just want to fully complete it.
He's grateful the players are still stopping to see the fans, despite becoming the victims of a crime earlier this week. Thieves broke into the team's truck, stealing thousands of dollars worth of equipment inside.
I wasn't really surprised, to be honest. It is Oakland after all, but luckily no one got hurt. It was just the equipment, so I'm really glad no one got hurt.
The burglary happened just a few blocks from the hotel on 8th Street sometime between late Sunday night and early Monday morning. Oakland Police Officers Association President Wee Win says the team took precautions.
They backed it up against the wall as tight as they can. They had it's locked. So there's no way to, it's very difficult. So it would have to be pulled or pushed out of the way for the person to get back there, and was able to cut the lock and then get inside there.
The thieves stole bags, equipment, and even a cleat steamer, which cost $2,500 on its own. Wynn says while crime is down, it's still not at a tolerable level. Police staffing is dangerously low, with just 515 officers. The city's own studies show they need at least 877. He believes the city needs to focus on recruiting and retaining officers.
We have to make immediate changes to address those issues. We have to focus on public safety, and the public safety that people are asking for are police officers. They want to make sure that when they come here, they don't want to be victim of crime.
But the team's not letting a little misfortune bring them down. Posting on X after the burglary, Monday was all about work, staying focused on what's ahead. And that's exactly what Rodriguez wants to see them do, so they can win against Japan on Saturday.
I feel like they should focus more on the game, so I believe they shouldn't really be focused on the loss, but focus on the game.
Well, the last time the Mexican national team played in the U.S. was during the Gold Cup in July. They beat the U.S. by a score of 2-1. Police shot and killed a stabbing suspect in Santa Clara. It happened shortly after 6 a.m. yesterday at a house on Eisenhower Drive. That's about a half-mile north of Montague Expressway. The suspect died at the hospital. The stabbing victim is expected to survive. Still unclear exactly what prompted police to open fire. An iconic San Francisco restaurant is getting ready for its grand reopening after a lot of people thought they were gone for good. Sam Wo served its first meal in Chinatown just after the 1906 earthquake, but late last year, its owners said they would close up shop. David Ho was ready to retire, and instead of passing the keys to his kids, he wanted them to pursue other opportunities.
Dad's like, restaurant business is, tough. More profit margins are slim, so he wants me to just go out, explore the world. Don't get stuck here in Chinatown. That's why he always tells me, just go explore. Don't get stuck here in Chinatown.
It's kind of like one of those spots that everybody talks about when they've gone to San Francisco. Our courtship was in Chinatown, and now we're doing Memory Lane. We've got our kids, our experiences, and we're just checking them one more time.
Well, now, months later, the restaurant is back thanks to a group of local investors, as Andrea Nakano shows us. They wanted to see his legacy continue.
Sam Wo Restaurant has been in David Ho's family for generations. After roughly 40 years in the kitchen, his knees and shoulders just couldn't take the strain of cooking all day long. So he decided to retire in January.
Mr. Ho's been around so long, and he's so passionate and very detailed about this. So after 45 years of running up and down the stairs, he's finally exhausted.
Stephen Lee is one of the investors in the Sam Wo Restaurant. He couldn't imagine it being closed for good, so he spearheaded the effort to find a way to open again. He tried to find a buyer with no success. He had a promising chef come in to take over, but that fell through. Eventually, he connected with two established Chinese restaurant owners in the Bay Area to open Sam Wo again.
I went to him and I said, look, let's do this as a joint venture. You have a cooking team, you have the resources for running the service and everything, and then we can try to work out some deal.
While there may be new chefs in the kitchen, they are all being trained by David Ho.
Mr. Ho's here, he's training the main chef the recipes. So the legacy recipes are still here, but they're also putting some of their modern dumplings as part of the menu.
Ho plans to retire in China, but only after his job is done to make sure the new chefs carry on the Sam Wo legacy.
He's good. Yeah, you're good, yeah. Good chef.
Stephen Lee and his group of investors have given themselves 2 years to see if this venture works. Lee says between tariffs and inflation, the cost to run the business has gone up roughly 30% just since January. But he feels it'll be even more costly for Chinatown to lose a business like Sam Wo.
We don't want Chinatown to lose another historic restaurant. Not only does that, but a tourist attraction. Sam Wo has been a tourist attraction for 100 years. We're in a recovery mode. We can't do that and kill that.
Sam Wo is open for business already as David Ho trains the next main chef. The restaurant is holding a grand reopening. That's happening sometime tomorrow. Up next, the NFL season is here. Niners are getting ready for their game this Sunday against the Seahawks. What the team's newest captain is saying about their rivalry.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
Happy Thursday! We are looking at much cooler and more comfortable weather throughout the rest of this week and even into the weekend, although Friday, tomorrow, is going to be the coolest day with mid to lower 80s across our inland communities and those onshore winds gusting up to 20 to 30 miles an hour. Strong winds aren't great news when it comes to wildfires, but the fact that they're coming in from that onshore direction and ushering in those relatively cooler temperatures, again, is good news. And they're going to stay relatively cool throughout the rest of the week and weekend, so enjoy it while you can.
Well, the NFL season officially kicks off tonight with the Cowboys taking on the Eagles in Philadelphia. Niners are gearing up for their season opener on Sunday. Matt Lively has a preview of the divisional matchup against their rivals, Seahawks.
This is the Audi Red and Gold Report.
It is game week for the 49ers, and first up is a divisional foe, the Seattle Seahawks, as the Niners look to make last season a distant memory.
Being able to start 1-0 in the division, on the road, hostile environment, a great football team, we got to come ready.
The 49ers announced 8 team captains on Wednesday, and Deommodore Lenoir was the new guy added to the mix. Lenoir has enjoyed his rivalry with Seattle, even if the Hawks' wide receiver room looks a little different.
Without my fellow friend DK, they're a good group of receivers. They got some confidence, and I feel like on Sunday it's going to be a very fun game.
Forget the noise. The Niners like playing in Seattle. In fact, they're going for a 4th straight win on the road come Sunday.
Again, the Niners open their season on the road against the Seahawks this Sunday. Kickoff is at 1:05 p.m. Coming up, we continue our series on the candidates looking to become California's next governor. Why Javier Becerra says his past makes him the right person to lead the state into the future.
No one sends more money, taxpayer money, to Washington, D.C. than do Californians. Yet we're not getting it back.
temperatures again are comfortable in the cloud coverage this afternoon. It's going to take a while to peel back. It's likely going to be pretty cloudy along our coastal communities with a bit of upper level passing cloud coverage. And that overall is going to keep those temperatures a few degrees cooler today compared to yesterday, sitting in the mid to upper 80s for our inland East Bay communities down into the Santa Clara Valley, 70s for areas by the Bay and across our North Bay, and mid 60s directly along the coast. And by tomorrow, it's likely going to be even cooler. Tomorrow is likely going to be the coolest day of the week with those highs in the mid to lower 80s inland, 70s down into the Santa Clara Valley and our North Bay communities, and mid to upper 60s directly along the coast. Again, it is all relative for this time of year, but I hope you all can enjoy the comfortable heat. If you can't today, tomorrow, or into the weekend, don't worry. Comfortable heat is likely going to stick around for the next at least 6 to 10 days. Our long-range models are showing us that these relatively cool conditions will persist through the middle parts of September. However, it's not going to last forever, so enjoy the cloudier conditions while you can, and at least along the coast by the weekend, it is going to be slightly warmer.
Over the next 2 weeks, CBS News California investigators will introduce you to the people that want to be your next governor.
I pride myself on not regretting what I've done because I learned very early on that your vote lives beyond you.
California correspondent Julie Watts sitting down with 11 candidates who have thrown their hats in the ring so far. Each day we will bring you one question with one candidate to give you early insight into who they are and why they want to be your next California governor. Today, Julie sits down with Javier Becerra.
Javier Becerra is one of the high-profile Democrats running to replace California Governor Gavin Newsom when he terms out next year. He currently lives in Sacramento and was most recently Health and Human Resources Secretary under the Biden administration. Before that, he was California Attorney General, a U.S. Congressman, and a state assembly member. He says he's running for governor because, quote, California needs a fighter with experience to tackle the affordability crisis and stand up to Trump.
We sat down with each candidate for an in-depth interview covering all of the issues that matter to you. But we began by asking each person what they think our current governor and legislature got right over the last couple of years and what they would have done differently if they were governor. That's one question with Javier Becerra.
He has kept a lot of the industry of tomorrow here in California, and I think you have to give the governor a great deal of credit. Everyone talks about the demise of California. Well, during his watch, we have grown from not just the 5th largest economy to the 4th largest economy.
And what about a misstep?
It's always easy to Monday morning quarterback. I would have moved sooner on some things. For example, the housing crisis. I wouldn't have waited as long until we see this crushing debt. The high-speed rail. Same thing. I wouldn't have waited till it became clear that we were going to have all these obstacles, principally in court. Time is money.
The legislature.
Got right. I think this effort right now underway to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't put his thumb on the scale on the votes in Congress, which would jeopardize trillions, certainly billions of dollars of taxpayer money that we send to the U.S. Treasury, because no one sends more money, taxpayer money, to Washington, D.C. than do Californians. Yet we're not getting it back. We've seen what he's tried to do to California. We have to fight fire with fire.
I just sat down with my 12-year-old daughter and explained redistricting.
Yes.
Her response was, but Mom, 2 wrongs don't make a right. What do you say to that 12-year-old who says, so we're doing what they're doing and we're saying that's wrong?
Yeah, what we're doing is not wrong. We're not trying to manipulate communities so we can get votes.
But in her eyes, in her simple 12-year-old eyes, she's saying they're redrawing the lines so that they get to pick who goes to D.C.
What I would, by the way, your daughter's smart and good for her. What I would tell her is take a look at what happens in Washington, D.C. You have a finite number of votes. So he's trying to rig the process to give himself more Republicans. That is not a democratic process. California is simply saying, wait a minute, we're going to fight as we need to make sure our votes count the way they should.
Julie will moderate the upcoming California Governors Forum hosted by APAPA at Sacramento State. That's on Monday, September 8th. It will live stream on the free CBS News app. Well, thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. We'll be right back with your First Alert forecast and a look at your top stories.